Assalamu alaikum. Back after a long hiatus. Just a lot of moving about and stressful situations which have nothing to do with anything other than change. And I think Allah's preparing us all for change because in 4 more days we're going to have the election. And so I had mentioned to you before that I was going to leave the subject of Banu Israel and Yehud, etc., and then do other more varied topics depending on my mood and the time of day that I'm inspired to say something from Quran, because that's really all that I should be. You know, what about my opinion? What about my experience? What about my points of view? They're irrelevant because they're all so incredibly mundane and boring and not worth my viewer. You, my viewer, came to get an Islamic perspective on everything from the Quran, from an American Muslim elder. And I've mentioned to you, I've been a Muslim for 40 years, and I've changed a lot. But what I have not changed is my love of truth, my seeking the truth, and my deliberate proclaiming the truth. So, because we're on the verge of a big change, they say, only Allah knows whether it's going to change for the better or for the worse. But absolutely, it's going to change. There's no doubt other than something is going to change, perhaps drastically, in America. So, because I'm uncertain as to almost everything, I'm not going to vote just for the sake of voting, because in order for me to vote, I have to believe in what the person represents. And shall I say unequivocally, I have to be certain, because I don't want to put my voice into something that is not exactly clear to me. Now, of course, it's time to tell the truth. I am clear that I'm not going with the woke liberal agenda, needless to say. Some say Muslims should vote for the Green Party. I just the whole thing about voting for a party is not exactly. You see, the word party in Arabic would be hizb, hizb. And Allah says in the Quran in Surah Mu'minun, كُلُّ حِزْبٍ بِمَا لَدَيْهِمْ فَرِحُونَ. Every party rejoices in their own version of things. So now, if I were to rejoice in the other party's version of things, I would have to be perfectly clear as to their position on everything. Yes, everything. But when I find it's more or less of a scattered presentation, sometimes being very conservative, other times being very hesitant, not willing to fully come forward with what would be a conservative position. Shall I say that I'm not against the candidate? I'm just not feeling comfortable enough to vote for that party, because in my hadith study of Arba'in Nawawi, we're supposed to not do anything that is not settling in your heart. If you have some form of dhan that you're not exactly sure, then you should stay away. So, with that introduction, I'm going to tell you that these lessons in the upcoming days, I'll make it up to you. I'll do more than one. Hopefully, I'll do 3 a day. So, let's say 3, 4 is 12. That's still not enough to make it up for you, but I'm going to try and relate what I'm saying to the times. And of course, I'll include some of my favorite things to do, which is to include the American culture and perhaps even some lyrics of songs that I remember uh, and relate them to what Allah is telling us in the Quran. And I know that most of my viewers are not my age. I think most of my viewers are probably, I would say, maybe in their 30s, 40s, maybe max. And I'm sorry if I can't really relate to your generation, but don't forget I lived in Egypt for a very long time when I wasn't speaking English and I was studying. So if I'm out of the loop, I admit I'm out of the loop. But the loop is Islam for me, and everything it represents, every word that I know is the utmost truth, the only pure truth, is in the Quran. So let's start. Let's see, we're almost 6 minutes. So let's stop the introduction now and get down to business. Inshallah. Bi'idhnillah. Assalamu alaikum.